YouTube, what it is? Yes, it's been a while, and this is actually my 4th attempt at making this video, but it just seems that every time I go to make a video, new news comes out, and it's like I have no time to make 3 or 4 different videos back to back to back to back. So we got a lot to talk about, a lot of boxing news, so let's get started. Nonito Donaire and Guillermo Rigondeaux fighting April 13th on HBO World Championship Boxing. This is a matchup that many of us have been wanting to see. The other matchup that many of us want to see as well is a fight between Nonito Donaire and Abner Mares. Now, there was obviously some hoopla concerning a contract that Golden Boy sent worth $3 million. Both Donaire's camp was saying at first that they didn't see it, and then they were saying that had they have signed the contract, that Donaire couldn't have fought, like if the fight were canceled or something like that. It's not happening. Golden Boy and Top Rank need to figure out how they're going to work together, because as it stands, not only this particular fight, but there's many fights on the horizon that a Top Rank and Golden Boy beef, war, whatever, is going to be a disservice more than anything, so to the fans and to the sport. But Rigondeaux, Donaire, I actually believe this is going to be a tougher fight for Donaire stylistically. Not to say I believe that Rigondeaux is going to present problems for Rigondeaux in the area of him getting hurt. I think you have to take into account that Guillermo Rigondeaux is noted as one of the greatest amateur boxers of all time. He's only had 11 professional fights, but some people, I guess, give him a pass because of how experienced he is. His style isn't necessarily fan-friendly to some. He's regarded as, or by some, I would say, Freddie Roach and some other trainers I've seen, say he's the best counterpuncher they've ever seen. We've seen glimpses of it, but the thing with boxing is, you know, you're only as good as the opponents you fight. So he's getting the biggest challenge of his career without a doubt. And Nonito Donaire he was a fighter of the year last, he won 2012 fighter of the year, got a knockout win over Jorge Arce. He beat Wilfredo Vasquez Jr., who gave him a tough fight. He had a good 2012. He fought the guys that were there for the most part. So this is a fight that boxing fans want to see for the sake of, is Rigondeaux the goods as a professional, and is Donaire the goods as a quote-unquote elite? So we're going to find that out April 13th. Radio City Music Hall, New York City, my second home. And we'll see what happens. I'll be talking further about that fight as it gets closer. We're now getting word that Lucas Matisse and Lamont Peterson will be facing off, I believe, in May. And the undercard is going to be the Devin Alexander Kell Brook fight that was postponed due to Alexander's injury. Lamont Peterson is coming off a knockout win over Kendall Holt, who he pretty much dominated and looked really, really good. In the beginning, you could see there was a little bit of rust, but what I've noticed with Lamont Peterson throughout his career, man, is like he's a tough motherfucker, man. I mean, he comes to fight, and he just brought it to Kendall Holt, and Kendall Holt really couldn't do much. And if you really think about it, man, Kendall Holt's had his best days, and not to say, not to take anything away from the win, because I think that was a very impressive win. But looking forward, a fight with Lucas Matisse could, oh man, these are fights like I was thinking last year, hoping to see this year, and this is one of them. And with Kell Brook and Devin Alexander, this could be Kell Brook's coming out party. I've never been too much of a fan of Devin Alexander's style as far as like how he fights, but he could make it a difficult fight. Kell Brook, this is his point now where he's going to start fighting competition, and similar to Amir Khan, coming from the UK, You know, there were points where he got into fighting these guys like a Maidana, or you know, and it really showed, in a sense, what kind of fighter Khan was. We'll really see what's going to happen with Kell Brook, because Devin Alexander isn't a power puncher, but he can be a difficult guy to fight. And mentally, you know, Kell Brook's got to get over that, and he's really got to be dominant to show. First off, I mean, if you want to be on HBO, there's got to be something about you that's going to trigger people to see you again. And this is, he's going to get no bigger platform than to prove himself at that level. I believe it's Showtime, if I'm not mistaken. So I believe we'll be seeing that in late May. And of course, and I'm pretty sure this is the reason why a lot of you are watching this video, because some of you have been hitting me up on Twitter and Facebook and leaving me comments as far as when I'm gonna make a video about the acquisition of Showtime of Floyd Mayweather and his fight now with Robert Guerrero and the whole Canelo Alvarez and Austin Trout situation. So being that the smoke is cleared and we have 2 separate fights on 2 separate nights, I'm gonna give you my thoughts on it. Showtime acquires Floyd Mayweather for a 6-fight deal that is to take place within, give or take, 30 months. And it's estimated, if he fulfills all the dates, that he can make close to $250 million. And look, man, this is a sweet deal for Floyd. Now, there was rumors going around that there was a possibility that the reason why this contract is so good for Floyd is that he could walk out at any given moment. I don't know the validity of that, but needless to say, he's got his first fight on Showtime, which is going to be against Robert Guerrero. And Robert Guerrero is coming off his win over Andre Berto, who seems to be the gatekeeper to Floyd Mayweather, as Victor Ortiz had gotten a win over Berto and he got the shot at Mayweather. But a lot of that's really, you know, golden boy. So Robert Guerrero's got his shot now, and Robert Guerrero has been calling out Floyd Mayweather for about a year and a half or so, maybe 2 years, even when he was at lightweight. He's got a story behind him. The Fight Camp 360, I'm pretty sure they're gonna, you know, dwell into the whole situation with his wife and battling cancer and how he took time off of boxing to take care of her. I mean, it's a good story, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, they obviously have to sell the fight. So I'm assuming that Robert Guerrero is going to be the heroine and Floyd Mayweather is going to be, you know, the villain in this situation, as, you know, he always is, because that is his persona or his character. And I'm not really going to give a prediction on this fight yet. I will say that I believe Robert Guerrero could surprise us. Mainly because I think with Floyd Mayweather, I mean, we have to keep it 100. You know, Floyd Mayweather is not in his prime anymore. Floyd Mayweather's been fighting once a year for the last 4 years. And if you line up the guys he's fought, you know, not to say that these guys were bums at all. I mean, I will never say that about his opposition. But I mean, we really have to put things into perspective and really measure where Floyd is at right now. I think he's skill-wise and ring smarts. I mean, I don't think that's ever gonna go away. One thing I noticed in the Cotto fight is that people will say that he's more stationary now because he wants to be more exciting and so forth, but I don't buy it, because Floyd Mayweather is 36 years old. He's not gonna have the mobility of a 24-year-old who's fresh and young and like not even hitting the ceiling yet or peaking. You know, Floyd Mayweather to me has peaked. Is Robert Guerrero skilled enough, strong enough, and poised enough, and mentally strong enough to be in there with Floyd Mayweather for 12 rounds? And not only that, but deal with the aura of the event. Because I think with Miguel Cotto, I think he had I don't want to say an advantage, but he had the experience under the big lights to where things of that nature didn't affect him. Some fighters, it happens. Robert Guerrero has never been in that situation. A fight with Andre Berto and a fight with Floyd Mayweather are night and day. So, what I believe he could possibly do is put pressure on Floyd, and he is a southpaw. He's got a nice left hand. Doesn't have a dominant jab, but you know, jabs can be kind of difficult to do when you're fighting a conventional fighter or vice versa. So I'm not gonna do a prediction on it yet. I want to see both guys, but I look forward to that fight. I think it might be a little more interesting than people think. And then obviously Canelo versus Trout was supposed to be on the undercard. That's another part of the controversy as to why this whole May 4th event is taking a while to make. And that's because, according to sources and according to Canelo's team, Floyd Mayweather gave a verbal agreement to Canelo that if he were on the undercard, that he would fight him in September. And right when the contracts were about to be signed, Floyd, quote unquote, reneged on it and said, nah, I ain't signing shit. So Canelo's attitude is like, well, you know what? I'm not going to lend my name to your pay-per-view because, you know, you better believe I was helping you sell pay-per-views based on who I was fighting. I'm going to fight on my own night, which is April 20th at the Alamo Dome, and he will be facing Austin Trout, which I commend Canelo because from what I was reading, some of his handlers didn't want him to take that fight, but he begged and pleaded for that fight. So you know what? I've never been like a big I've never criticized Canelo like to the point where like I hate him. You know what I mean? I think he should be fighting better fights, but if he's at a point now where he is calling for an Austin Trout fight, yo, props to him. That's all we can ask for, is for him to fight the best. You know? That's it. And I really can't wait for that fight. What does concern me though, that it is in Texas, a pro-Mexican crowd. We've seen what happens in situations where fights are close, or even if fights are not close. Austin Trout's got to dominate this fight. To me, he's got to knock out Canelo, or he's got to dominate Canelo to win this fight. And I'm not saying it to give an excuse as to like that Canelo is going to end up winning. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm just keeping it, again, 100. Texas hasn't been the best state as far as judging is concerned. So if I were Austin Trout, man, to be honest with you, I would actually investigate some of the judging and question some of the judging even before leading into the fight. Have my handlers investigate that and so forth, because we've seen what happens. I'd hate to see Austin Trout take an unnecessary L just because on some hometown shit. So what's going to happen if both Canelo and Mayweather win? At this point, who knows? I mean, Mayweather could say, all right, let's fight. Or he could say, well, I'm not fighting till next May, and I'll fight you next May. And, you know, you have 2 more title defenses, and I'll fight you next May. That's not an impossibility. Because, like I said, Floyd has not fought twice in 1 year in a while. You know? And he's getting older, so it's going to be a little awkward for him to, like, just turn back the clock and him fight twice a year now for the next 3 years. Because, I mean, he's going to be he's taxing his body doing that, and I don't know if he's going to be wanting to do that. So we'll see, because these next few months are going to tell a lot of what's going to happen for the rest of the year, and quite possibly next year. So thanks for staying patient with me, man. And if you want to just hit me up, you got any ideas about these upcoming fights or who you think is going to win, just drop some comments. I'm going to be giving predictions on these upcoming fights as well. I just like to give a little preview here and there. And like I always say, man, hit up the blog page, get my new album, New Vintage, also Reality Principle with JD Cuellar. The links are on the bottom, and I'll see you soon. Peace.